Grandpa, when I found the bird, I prayed. God, you made this poor little guy, so maybe you could help him out.
His heart isn't beating, Sarah, and it's dead.
Then I saw God standing on the other side of the lake.
I always thought that you were kind of special.
You see him?
Who?
God.
You saw God and then brought a dead bird back to life.
No, I didn't. God did.
Where'd you get this?
I drew it when I came home tonight.
You drew this?
Yeah.
Just sounds like she has a healthy imagination to me.
She would never outright lie.
My cat died last week. I was wondering if you could stop by and bring it back to life.
Mom, it really was God.
Sarah, do you think you can help me walk again?
I don't know.
Could you say a prayer for me?
So, tell me what this medical emergency is all about.
I moved my toes this morning.
I can't explain what happened in there. Severed nerves and spinal cord can't regenerate.
Mom? Oh, my baby!
I thought he was never supposed to walk again.
He wasn't.
It was Sarah.
I keep fighting voices in my mind.
It's not healthy or fair to other people to pretend that you're actually having conversations with God.
I'm not pretending.
Is Sarah Hopkins a miracle worker? It's about to turn her world upside down.
I don't think I can take this much excitement.
Yeah, hold on to your hat. There's going to be a lot more of it.
Dad, I think these people want to see Sarah.
Thank you. I know that I was seeing God. Everything Sarah told us was true.
I'm just a lucky girl who God decided to visit. The truth is, all you have to do is believe in God and pray to Him. He's listening.
This one is just sweeter than chocolate.
It's not possible. You're beginning to catch on.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes on podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie and find us on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Delvecchio. With me, as always, is Dan Aquino and Mark Myers. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, friends.
Hello, everyone. So normally this is like a joke section, but I want to share an experience this weekend. After years of trying to be cheap of finding hotels and stuff when traveling for these softball games or vacations and stuff, I think I finally came the closest to renting a hotel that was definitely a day rate hotel, if you know what I mean.
Wait, hold on. Did you say rate? R-A-T-E?
Yeah. I mean like hourly rate, more likely. Yeah, okay. R-A-T-E.
I'm sorry. I thought you said date
rate?
And then yeah. So I got very nervous.
Sorry for the accent.
No, it's okay.
Because I stayed at a Days Inn, which I thought was safer than going to a Motel 6 or a Super 8. So I get into the room and the couch is broken and looks like it's from like 1983. It's green plaid. The bed is just a one size. It's a king bed, but the pillows are all those little square pillows you put on your couch. Not actual pillows. And the shower seemed to be rusted or broken or something. And instead of fixing, the rust with some paint or maybe some glaze or something, they just put a piece of white plastic over it and screwed it into the tub. And so, needless to say, I did not take a shower at this location. And the entire part of the hotel seemed to be slightly under construction because the entire 5th floor had no carpet in the hallways. So I was like, you think it'd be safe at like a 2-3-star hotel or whatever for like $100 a night. You're like, this isn't a Super 8 for $50. But I think this hotel was probably recently converted to a Days Inn because the area it was meant like businessman needs to find a place to have some time alone, sort of away from the work function sort of vibes to it. So yeah, that was my weekend.
Wow. Okay. So you can fuck the secretary? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. We'll say, we'll call her, they call themselves receptionists.
Gotcha.
I am so confused by this story. Was this just to tell us that you stayed in a shitty hotel?
Yes.
Okay.
I was hoping you guys would have things.
Cut through the bullshit. That's Dan's motto.
I didn't know. I was expecting there to be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow there. Like maybe there was a murder that took place or something. Yeah. It was just like, oh, the shower was kind of gross, so I didn't shower.
Yeah. My whole point was I've been lucky in the past going for cheaper hotels when only needing to stay a night. And this time I came up craps with the top of the toilet wasn't a top of a toilet. It was seemed like a shelf from a refrigerator covering the top of the toilet. So that was fun.
I think everybody needs to stay in one of those hotels in once in their life. That builds character, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I laid on the bed, which is the only piece of furniture that seemed safe, and just played Zelda all night. So that was fun.
I'm one of those people, because I've had that where the people I've been traveling with are like, oh, don't get under the covers. I'm like, fuck it. I'll take that shot. And,
yeah.
And I'm okay. So
Dan's here for a good time, not a long time.
Exactly. Like, that's how you build up your immune system, people. All right.
Exactly.
You get under the covers. You get up in that pillow. You'll be thanking me for it.
And I think the TV was putting out 480p, like 20 years ago, standard definition.
That's too far.
I was just gonna say, that you should have left. Yeah, terrible.
You should have slept in your car.
Yeah, you might have been better off.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, so that was an interesting weekend. And now I know why all the other hotels near Hershey, Pennsylvania are all like $200 because the really cheap ones are kind of shit.
I would trade your weekend for my weekend if it makes you feel better. Because I spent my weekend getting approached by Renaissance Fair patriots.
Yeah.
Or patrons. And they're the most insufferable people I've ever met.
My wife would love to hear you say that because she despises the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, I went to my first one and I was approached twice in a span of maybe 10 minutes by people who, listen, I'm not here to shame anybody. Kind of, that's not true. I'm not going to say they're bad people, but these people, they live it, right? They this is their time to shine. So I was approached by two different guys in full, medieval regalia, and one was asking me to describe the sport of tennis to him because he had recently become a lord. I was like, oh, and this is what I've been told lords play this tennis, and I need to learn about this tennis. Can someone please fill me in? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too much for me. I can't get into your fantasy. All right, don't ask me to become part of your fantasy. I'm dressed in a Ghostbusters t-shirt here. Just leave me alone. So that guy came up to me, and then another guy came up to me and asked if I wanted to be escorted to the chess match that was going on. I was like, well, you're only a few paces away, good sir. The chess match of the century. No, I'm okay. Oh, take my arm. I shall show you the way. No, please no.
You had a shirt with a bunch of scientists on it, so he thought you were into chess.
That's true. Yes. Maybe. Are you saying that the way I was dressed?
Yeah, you were asking for it.
Fault? I was asking for it, Mark.
Yeah.
Now I know how it feels.
Great. Okay. Besides that, we have an episode to talk about. And this week was Dan's pick. So Dan, why don't you introduce this week's movie?
I would be happy to. So I chose this movie from 2021. So as we were talking about it, it's a COVID movie. And we needed to shake it up a little bit. I know Ant kind of gets on us a little bit, not in a bad way, but we tend to lean a little bit more action heavy. So I said, you know what? He's right. let's shake it up a bit. Let's wander into the religious realm for a little bit. And I picked The Girl Who Believes in Miracles, starring a one Kevin Sorbo.
Okay. And where are you coming from with it?
Oh boy, this movie. I think this movie's a slap in the face to people, religion, just movies in general. Oh my god! I know there's going to be, obviously, when you pick a religious movie, they're going to really hammer in that message, right? They're going to hammer in the message of God and praying and looking for salvation. But this movie, like Kirk Cameron, is far more subtle than what this movie was, and he is one of the worst people alive.
Yes. So quick question before you continue, Dan.
Sure.
Did you watch this with the subtitles on?
I did. And
did they make you just as angry?
It made me furious because every time they would say
they capitalized it.
Yes. Oh my God. You're mad with him, capital H, or you have to go to him or God, or
I know it's grammatically correct or whatever, or culturally correct to do that, but it just infuriated me every time.
Yeah, I hate it.
Because from what I learned growing up, and then we can get off this tangent, is that it's only when you do the he, him, that those pronouns. Like, I've never really been taught to capitalize you or me or what, or like all the other ones they did, and that was what was making me more mad. It's like, this is you're just driving this home. But continue.
Yeah, I agree. I never understood the capitalization of it, but I think what made me, there were times when I just laughed out loud at how absurd this movie is, and it's like insulting, because there are probably people out there, very gullible people, who see this movie, and there's a scene where the main character, Sarah, just kind of like runs the gauntlet of curing people of their ailments.
It's such a great movie.
Yeah, it's like there's like an assembly line of people who need healing. Like, all right,
yeah, it's like Jiffy Lube.
All right, wait, who's next? All right, the blind girl. Okay, yeah, all right, come on. So they have this scene, and I'm just picturing older white folks watching this movie and just fully embracing the absurdity of this movie.
Yeah.
And listen, if that's your religion, that's your religion. I'm not going to get on you for your religion, but to see this kind of movie, and if you think any part of it is real, seek immediate help, because this is not how the world works. It's bad. Don't listen to this movie. That's my little spiel on it.
Okay, Mark, what about you? The Girl Who Believes in Miracles.
So this, for most of this movie, this is probably just from me growing up, doing 12 years in Catholic school. That I'm like, all right, I've seen these movies a million times. It was basically following all the same tropes, all the dumb stuff with trying to make the faith cool, having the sports athlete and his pretty girlfriend and their cute kid and talking about God and all that. I'm like, okay, I can get it. I laughed out loud at the assembly line of healing. All the dead bird stuff and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, like a lot of this, it's if you come in with the mindset, and I've already seen these type of movies, you're like, fine, I get what they're going for here. They're doing it really well, and when you're in this context, I even like the sort of twist on it, which I think Dan said he predicted. Was the fact that she was helping these people, but she was getting sicker, and I'm like, okay, that's actually a pretty, not cool is probably the wrong word, but I'm like, okay, that's a different way to tell the story.
Yeah, little girl's dying. Woo!
Yeah, but normally it would be like, she would be mini Jesus, which we'll get to that in a second.
She is mini Jesus.
No, yeah, but in terms of it wouldn't affect her. She would just be like somebody walking around the countryside doing this stuff, and there would be no like her getting sicker part of the story is what I mean.
They did this movie with John Travolta. Did they not?
Phenomenon,
Yeah, phenomenon. Every time he made a miracle happen, he got sick.
Yeah. So, I was thinking a little bit, I'm like, okay, that's a good direction to go with it. Cause, if you're going to make these type of movies, at least, make them, slightly, not so much hitting you over the head. And then it got to the end, the whole rain going to the lake at the end, and they're racing up. And when they get to the lake, I start chanting in my house, rapture, rapture, rapture.
Oh, so you wanted everyone to be taken?
Well, no, that would have been. I would have stood and applauded if everybody got taken at that moment. That would have been great. But I wanted the only thing I wanted in this movie was what happens. And fuck it if it's spoiling anything. But when the soul leaves her body and she walks into the light, that was the only thing I wanted, because I knew it would be the most ridiculous CGI, and just really bad looking. And, the whole thing. And then when they come down where they're dry and everyone else is wet, and I'm like, okay, that's all good. I thought, okay, it's a perfect way to end the movie. Girl does all these miracles, helps these people. Her soul goes to heaven with God because God let her do these miracles as her last act on earth, blah, blah, blah. And then I literally wanted to throw something through my television in the next scene when they found the final drawing that she made, because apparently she turned into like Picasso or something, just by having a brain tumor. And that she, rises from the dead, and then comes back and then basically is Jesus at that point, giving a sermon outside to everyone. It could have been any one of you. God could have visited it. And
she gave the Stan Lee Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it could be anyone behind the mask.
Yeah, it was. I was so mad. It gave me. And those of you who listen to this podcast, and the two of you in particular, it gave me the anger that the last 10 minutes of Birdman gave me, in that I'm literally screaming at this dumb Christian movie. You had the perfect fucking ending to your stupid bullshit movie, and you had to push it a little bit more Christian-y. Like, had to raise her from the dead. She had to live and have a happily ever after. The happily ever after should have been her being with God. Awesome. She helped, went with God over. Everybody saw God, accepted her leaving. Thumbs up. Good job. Roll credits. But they had to bring her back from the dead, and it just made me angry. What made me go from lukewarm laughing at this movie to just flat out mad. So yeah, that's my little rant on this.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. This movie's great. I loved it.
There's some parts where I laughed out loud, but it's a smack in the face to people who've like lost others, and like, oh no, if you just pray, it'll come back. Don't worry about it.
I don't even know what to say about this movie, because it's hard, because obviously I am not a religious person, so it's hard to be like, well, yeah, acting sucks, obviously. Kevin Sorbo sucks, obviously. I don't know. I'm at a loss. It's like, I don't know what like the message of it all is like, this girl is the most spiritual of this movie. She has the most faith, and she is rewarded by having faith with a brain tumor. And yes, everything that goes with it. She has healing powers and all this, and she eventually comes back. But when I break it down, God says, you are one of my most faithful followers. Here's a tumor.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how Christianity works.
That's fucked up.
I'm pretty sure there's a story, right? Like, hey, if you love me, kill your son. That's how much Christian. That's as soon as that story was told, everyone should have bailed on Christianity. Like, oh yeah, so he went and killed his son because he believed in God. Boo.
Yeah. And I don't know if I would have liked it more if she just outright dies, because she doesn't deserve to die. She's a little girl.
Mark thought it was cool.
Mark thought it was very cool. It was like he wanted the downer ending in a Christian movie that people are going like churches are buying up tickets for. He just wanted the downer ending. Like this is fucking Twin Peaks or something like that.
Give me David Lynch's The Girl Who Believed in Miracles.
Yeah. Yeah, I just this is a tough one to watch and tough to kind of put my thoughts together because some Christian person would probably say, well, she comes back. I mean, that's also part of her faith is that, God says that, she's not ready. She needs to go, and be with her family. It's like, great. And what's the rest of her life going to be like?
Yeah, it's a good question.
She spent 2 weeks healing people. Maybe not even. Maybe it was like a span of 2 days.
Yeah.
She's healing people. Then she dies and comes back. And now she's got to live the rest of her life as the girl that could literally heal people and then died. And also, I'd be pretty pissed off if I was one of those people that were on her lawn hoping to get healed at the end. Like, man, fuck, missed it.
Oh, there's tomorrow at least. Nope.
I guess nobody else is gonna come help me.
That's right. Like it's such a slap in the face, like I was saying, to people who have these ailments, right? Crippled people, blind people, people with cancers. Like, oh well, if you just believe hard enough, God might help you. Like, how can you say that to the people who believe in your religion with a straight face? This little girl has the power to do it, right? If I have one of those ailments, this movie pisses me off.
Sure. Yeah, it's because you're just not praying hard enough.
Exactly. Right. Oh, you know what? All the chemo that I've gone through, that's it's bullshit. I just haven't been praying hard enough.
I love that Kevin Sorbo has the worst person says something great or whatever that meme is when he says the line about, if God existed and was great, why does he let parents watch their children suffer? And I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the number one argument against any religion, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, why are there kids starving around the world? Like, no just God would allow that. George Carlin had a really good bit about God. Like, if he allows the suffering, then he's not all good, essentially. Yeah. But if he's all good, then he can't be omnipotent or something. I'd have to watch it again, but it broke down to he can't be all good because there's bad things happening. So
right.
Yeah, it is weird that Kevin Sorbo, like you said, was the voice of reason, because if you look at his Twitter, he's never the voice of reason.
Well, because he's not the good guy in this movie. In the idea of this movie, us looking at it as people that aren't particularly religious, it was like, well, no, he's making a lot of sense. He's a man of science. He needs to be, they should be listening to him. But he doesn't have any answers because it's an inoperable brain tumor. Sometimes that shit just fucking happens, and science can't save that. But in the context of this movie and in the moral siding of the story, he's the bad guy. He's not like a villain, but he's not. He's turned his back on his faith. And so I think in a way Kevin Sorbo loves playing those parts because he's like, oh, because I got these people's number. This is exactly what they are,
Okay. He's holding a mirror up to a certain group of people. Got okay. See, now that when you break it down that way, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Part of me believed he was going to play God in this movie. Because I went in cold and I was like, oh, Kevin Sorbo, he's probably God.
Here's a question. What's the deal with the t-shirt and jeans God?
He's an everyman. He's just like you.
I think the way, and again, this is 12 years of Catholic brain rot. The idea of they're coming here, not to give a serious answer to this, is that God appears to you as something you recognize.
Just a schlubby dude in a t-shirt and jeans.
No, meaning like the girl sees a man, because they're not worried about gender identity. She sees a man, and most men she sees wear t-shirt and jeans. So that's how God Jesus appears to her.
But God Jesus to her should always be the long hair,
right,
blue-eyed white guy.
Yeah,
like she's not a person that's not religious, right? It would make more sense if like she's like a convert, right? It's like, this guy he came to me and he was wearing a t-shirt and jeans. Like, oh, that sounds like it might be God, She's grown up with pictures of the blonde hair, blue-eyed, the Willem Dafoe Jesus.
Yeah, the only reason I say that is I maybe misinterpreted, but I think my thought was she saw the t-shirt and jeans one. Then when it cut to the preacher and it cut back, he transformed into that long-haired robed figure. So that's why I thought in my head it's who they see this figure as.
I'm sure that's the explanation. The whole contact bullshit rule. Yeah, I come to you as a form that you would recognize.
Exactly.
It's nonsense though, because you could show up to a girl that's super religious. You could show up as we're already pretending that Jesus is a white man, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's how
you could just show up. You could just show up as that white man, as the white man that she's seen in Da Vinci paintings and all that kind of stuff, and she would recognize, oh, that's Jesus, that's God.
That's the interpretation I took from the movie was basically telling you Jesus is a white man. Jesus and God are white men, and they're just like you because you're made in His image, kind of thing, So that's what they see. That's how I took it. It wasn't just to be like how you see Him. It's that this is how He is.
Oh, I mean, yes, there's obviously a lot of that propaganda going around in this movie.
I guess I just thought it was weird because it was like such a throwaway line, and I missed it the first time I watched it. And then at the end, when it happens, I'm like, "What the fuck was that? Why is what was that?
A ball of light."
Yeah, could have.
I made it ambiguous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of that whole pushing a power narrative for probably the type of Christians that this movie was made by, the fact that even the other priest in the movie, who was not the reverend white priest, was also a doubting Thomas in the beginning a little bit. She was like, could this work? And he was like, I don't know, maybe, while the other priest was like, oh, it definitely worked. We got to do,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of thing.
My favorite throwaway, my favorite line that I wish we could explore, you know what? I think we can explore it, but I wish it was explored a little more, is when the family finds out that Sarah is dying because of this brain tumor, and the grandfather goes down to the lake to plead to God to take him instead of her, and he has this line, I've done things in the army.
This was gonna be my next point I was gonna bring up. What do you think he did in Vietnam? What atrocities do you think this old man has committed?
Oh, man.
I think we can all agree that one of the things he's done is absolutely murdered civilians.
Yes,
in Vietnam,
children.
Yes, he's burned villages to the ground, and it's probably better for your movie if you don't have one of your main characters say that.
Yeah,
because it's like, I don't know, because you would think that they wouldn't. I don't know, for a right-leaning movie, you would think that I think still the right considers the Vietnam War things that we had to do,
Yes, I'm assuming. But I don't think they would want to talk about committing war crime.
Right, but it gets brought up in this movie.
Yeah, and he has if you watch this movie and you go to that scene, the actor, Peter Coyote, is it Coyote or Coyote?
I think it's Coyote.
Coyote, yeah. Peter Coyote. When he says the line, he gives that little bit of hesitation to really drive home the fact that he did something wrong.
Yeah.
So that's what made me think, he has to have, he's either just killed civilians or he might have gone further and sexually assaulted some women there. I'm not going to say for a fact, but obviously it's well known that happened.
Yeah.
So now I don't, if you're God, why would you listen to him?
Yeah.
I think who's murdered children, I'll get right on saving your granddaughter.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's more killing people than any sexual assault or anything.
So you think it's just the killing? It's not the.
Yeah.
You didn't take it too far. Okay.
I mean,
historically,
we're probably correct. But in a Christian movie that probably supports the troops, it was more like doing,
doing his duty.
Yeah, following orders and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if this movie was made today. They would have had him like working at Planned Parenthood or something.
I mean, this movie was made today.
All the
It
stuff
was
I
2
did.
years ago.
Yeah,
This movie came out 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
No,
Then why didn't they pick like something that made him like a little like left leaning when he was early? Just to
this guy he doesn't have a left leaning bone in his body. We're introduced to him beating up a black kid.
Over $8.
Yeah, because he can't afford food. he chokes out a kid.
I meant more, instead of making the army look bad, like make some like, oh, I drank too much and I joined the Peace Corps and man, we did some bad things, you know.
I don't
like,
even think in their mind. I don't think in their mind this makes the army look bad. I think it just makes him look more like he's just more of a he's had hard times. He's had challenges.
Yeah. But he's found himself in the Lord, right?
Right. Yeah, all those kids be damned. He found salvation. I saw a lot of in this movie where they really did try to make it hip, like Mark was saying when he was a kid. Like they tried to make it a little cooler, where they got the soccer player kid who is helping out his sister. The little girl is making these really nice drawings, and she's making a lot of friends. So like, yeah, like in the Lord you find friends in the Lord, and like look at the talents that the Lord gives you. Like this little girl couldn't draw for shit.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I think they call her Rembrandt. She's making these fantastic drawings. Like, oh, you see what you can if you trust in the Lord, he'll provide, kind of thing.
Oh yeah. But those cheaters won at the end of the soccer game.
It's true. That's true. What are you gonna do?
But then the guy comes back and Samwise Gamgee's her up the mountain.
That's true. I can guarantee Jen and I were joking around while we were watching this movie, where after the other team, the bullies win, Jen was like, "Is she gonna pray for those kids to die and like they get into a car accident?"
This is the first time in a movie I've ever laughed when a dog got hit by a car.
Oh my gosh! It looks so fake.
Just the whole events leading up to it. All of a sudden, the guy just like slams on the gas from the parked position,
and the bully steals his friend's hamburger to feed his dog.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, part of me thought this was the kid getting back at the bully for stealing his.
Let's run over that dog. Oh, you're getting that burger back some way.
Right. I'll teach you to steal my burger. It was gross. It was what did I write? Hold on. It's such an embarrassing movie. Everyone's phony. I don't know. I wish, because I'm not a super religious person either. I went to Catholic school I went to CCD, I think they call it, for a while, and that's kind of like where I fell out of religion. But I'm not going to crack on anyone for believing. I wish it would be so much easier for people to get on board if these kinds of movies didn't exist, because they are so laughably bad that it puts your religion in such a bad light.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess the good thing is that Kevin Sorbo didn't say Jew with a hard R in this movie.
He didn't. Yeah.
I thought he was going to ask if she was vaccinated.
Oh Jesus, that would have been. See, that's the thing they should have put in there.
Right, like
this must have been the jab.
right. Like when Sarah first gets sick and they call in Dr. Ben, played by Kevin Sorbo, and he checks and like, oh well, she seems okay. Was she vaccinated? Like, oh yeah, she was. Oh, you know what? It could be that. It's all these reports coming out of perfectly healthy people just dropping dead. Like, oh my gosh! But surprisingly, they didn't take that route.
Well, if they did make her vaccinated, then maybe they should have, because then the story would have been a vaccinated girl started to see God and heal people.
Right.
So maybe everybody would have got vaccinated.
How great, or not how great, but I think it would have been so interesting if this was a Jacob's Ladder scenario.
Sure.
where essentially Sarah is like on her deathbed the entire time, and she's just imagining healing people.
Sure.
And like her parents are standing by her, like, "That's right, Sarah. You've done so well, sweetheart. Go to God." And like, "I healed all those people. Yeah, sure, you did. Good for you." And
do you think he also took away the art talent? Jesus.
Oh, that's a good question.
That would been. It's like that drawing of the shitty horse. I'll just go back to drawing what I was doing before I died. Oh wow, it looks like shit.
Oh,
I would give up drawing ever again.
Yeah.
Right?
If it meant living, yeah.
No. If it was like, well, I used to be amazing at art, and now because I don't have Jesus helping me, I can't. It's like, well, fuck this. It was too great before, and now it's shit.
Yeah, like you'll never reach that level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Ruin it for me.
But like now, doesn't this pose the question? She's been abandoned by Jesus, right? She doesn't have that power anymore. So it's basically Jesus saying, "I'm done with you. You've outgrown your usefulness to me."
The motivation of Jesus throughout this movie, I call into question. I don't know what his game is.
Yeah, what is he? Is he just trying to get people to believe in him?
That's got to be it,
right? Like, oh look, you see, if you believe hard enough, I can heal you. But then
I'm also going to give you cancer, though.
Oh, that's a good point, right? So, is it supposed to be the yin and yang kind of thing? Like, I'll help you heal people, but you're gonna die.
Yeah,
I would just never heal people. Fuck you guys.
Right? Yeah.
Do you live forever then, or does Jesus just see like, oh, you're not using my powers and just take them away?
Did she ever try to pray her own tumor away?
Is there a tumor so big that Jesus can't heal it?
Right? Did she never prayed? She wasn't like, "Hey, Jesus, realize you gave me a tumor. Maybe don't do that."
Right?
Yeah, that would be selfish, and then one of the deadly sins. I don't know. I'm just trying to.
You're probably right, but I feel like also, given the power to heal and also have a brain tumor, I feel like that's not selfish.
No.
Like I would do the same thing. You know, it's like, I wouldn't call. Oh man, did you hear what happened? You hear what Sarah did? She used her healing powers to heal her own brain cancer.
What a bitch!
I think the most realistic reaction in this whole movie is Mira Sorvino when they're laying in bed and the little girl goes, "Yeah, I saw God, and he said he'd see me soon."
Oh, I did a spit take at that line.
And she was like, "Oh my God, what are you feeling?" Like, I'm like, that is the most natural, great reaction to anything that happens in this movie.
Like she buried the lead there.
Yeah,
because she was talking to Mira Sorvino about like her day with the bird and how the bird came to life. Like, oh, that's really nice, sweetheart. Yeah, and then Jesus said he's gonna see me soon. Like, what the fuck? I sat up. I was leaning. I was like, oh my God, she really said that. That's great. And by the way, I know this movie tries to paint the family as, this red-blooded, all-American family, right? In real life, her family sells the shit out of Sarah. They just market that poor girl until, right? Like, oh, come see the amazing Sarah Hopkins. She'll heal you, and she's healed the blind and made the crippled walk. Blah blah blah. She's raised the dead.
I think it's one of the reasons where in a movie where nothing's realistic, they had to keep it short in terms of the time frame. That she had it just because people like us would start going, they definitely monetize her. Yeah. Like if this lasted for like a week or two, they'd definitely be making money off this point. But having been 2 or 3 days, everybody's still kind of, wait, what's going on? Oh, now she has cancer. Like not enough time to think about making money.
Yeah, I agree with Ant. Right, like if you see this on the news, right, little girl brings dog back from the dead, helps crippled boy walk. You'd be like, oh, there's something weird about that, right? that can't be true. And then you hear it again and again, like, oh, well, maybe there's a little something to this. And then the news reports, girl who helped heal the sick now has brain tumor. You're like, oh, okay, I'm good. I'll stand back here, and I'm not going to believe in this stuff. Why would I believe in something that's going to kill me?
Right. That's her reward for being a good God soldier.
Yes. Well, you see it from personal experience. You see some bad things happen, right? Like the most faithful people come down with some like really bad stuff. You know, Alzheimer's, Lou Gehrig's disease, like really terrible afflictions, and like somehow it's like, oh well, your faith. Like, I don't know. I don't see the upside in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But whatever. Who's going to be around to tell? You know?
Yeah. So, The Girl Who Believes in Miracles from 2021 is directed by Richard Correll. It's director of Ski Patrol and a whole bunch of Disney Channel TV episodes. Stars Mira Sorvino, Austin Johnson, Kevin Sorbo, Peter Coyote, Burgess Jenkins, Tommy Rose, Stephanie Cood, Paul Mickle-Williams, Luke Harmon. IMDb score 5.6, Rotten Tomatoes score 40%, budget $3 million, box office $3.1 million. As we mentioned, this is a COVID movie, so it at least a couple of weeks, it was in the top 10 in early 2021.
Real quick, do you think like either Kevin Sorbo or anyone involved in this movie, do you think they blame the woke mob for it not doing better?
Probably.
Right?
I mean, I would. It's got to be a win, right? I don't know how much these movies usually make, but I think $3.1 million is what they could ask for, right? What's another?
I suppose.
What is Christian movies recently?
That actually shows how little people care about religion. Then, right? If it only made $3 million, you would think the ultra religious would be all over this movie.
Well, you would think, how many screens does it open on? Not that I'm giving them excuses.
Oh, that's true. That's true, right? What do you get? One screening?
I think it was like 1,000. The highest was 1,000.
Okay, that's a good amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the headline or the tweet like, oh, check out the movie the woke mob doesn't want you to see. Come experience the truth.
The fun part about this movie, which might be or I should say, the presentation of this movie, and that the producers and all did correctly, was that they didn't stick it in like the time period, like mentioning all the COVID and woke liberal and all that stuff in it. You know, while fun to joke about here, really stops this movie from being something that, you know, could be played 20 years from now, 30 years from now, you know, you know, because a lot of the stuff people wouldn't get or it had been disproven by that point. It fits in a nice category of something they can throw on it, like a Christian after school program, you know, thing, and just pop it in, you know, while the kids are there, or a substitute teacher at a Catholic school or Christian school just wants to have them watch a movie instead of do work. You know, it fits the thing for that because it's, you know, it does Christian values. It's perfectly non-offensive. I don't even think the boyfriend-girlfriend kiss in this movie.
They were trying to in the lake.
Oh, they totally touched genitals in the lake.
Yeah, but we see that. It can pass by everyone else.
In my head.
Yeah. Oh, they definitely had premarital relations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so essentially, you know, it just goes into that rotation, and by not having any topical stories about it, makes it timeless enough. That's the only smart thing the producers did for this movie.
I wouldn't be surprised if this movie came out before it was filmed everything before COVID. Just looking at the age of the actress, she would have been like 15 in 2021, 15, 16, and she's maybe 11 here.
Okay.
So it's a few years before it.
Yeah, so. And you know, there's not even much of that, you know. I guess that was also a lot calmer back then too. If they filmed it early in the last presidency, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this was filmed in like 2018.
Yeah,
maybe even 2019. But yeah, you guys want to get into the plot?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, what do you got for us?
We would like to invite you, our listeners, to please check out two friends of the podcast. We've had both of these people on several times throughout our run. They're great. They have their own awesome podcasts. I'm talking about, as you know, the Top 10 with Tia. It's a weekly podcast where Tia and her co-host Brittany run down their top 10 list of the week. If you enjoy that type of podcast, they range from movies, TV shows, video games. Please go to geekvibesnation.com, search the top 10 with Tia, and make sure to like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff that we normally tell you to do. And also our good friends at Game Vault Podcast, a bi-weekly video game podcast that airs every other Monday, where Mark, our own Mark, our friend Tom, and our friend Jen will discuss what they're playing recently, video game news. They also have their Retro Roulette game of the week, which is an old school game. Could range from the original Nintendo all the way through PlayStation, N64, GameCube, you name it. They have it on there. It's a lot of fun. They also stream on Twitch at Game Vault Pod. So please go check them out on their socials at Game Vault Pod and check out their Twitch stream.
Okay, great. And we're going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back.
Hey everyone, this is Steve.
And this is Adam.
And we're part of the Hop Nation USA podcast,
Pittsburgh's #3 craft beer podcast.
Join us every Friday for new beer reviews.
We'll talk about the news, history, and homebrewing.
Plus, we'll sit down with the best brewers and industry personalities that'll have us.
So whether you're a casual drinker, a hazy boy hophead,
or even if you're a whale hunting cellar hoarder,
just search Hop Nation USA on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcatcher and join the nation.
Oh hi, didn't see you there. It's me, George, from the best little horror house in Philly, the show where we talk about the best horror movie ever made, according to our guest at least. We've talked about groundbreaking classics like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Alien, but we've also got a lot of great ones coming up, including some very fun guests like Len Kabaczynski of Swamp Zombies and Red Letter Media fame, Caroline Williams, the star of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and Chase Williamson from John Dies at the End. So make sure you're subscribed to the best little horror house in Philly, and I'll see you boils and ghouls over there.
And welcome back. Now it's time to get into the plot for The Girl Who Believes in Miracles. We open on a sleepy Midwestern Main Street as we get a title card, and then we dissolve into a Sunday Mass as the preacher talks to them about having faith in your family. And then he reads a parable about faith, and then we pan to our hero family, including Mira Sorvino, who already looks like she's about to cry, and then her young daughter, who hangs on the preacher's every word. We then dissolve into a soccer game as the older brother of this hero family, Danny, is playing, while his sister Sarah and girlfriend Cindy watch from the stands, which are dead silent, despite having a decent crowd for a high school soccer game.
Yeah, my favorite part was I was joking in my head that I'm surprised they chose soccer because, you know, it's the sport of socialists and communists in England, in Europe.
Yeah,
so
I mean, soccer's just lame anyway, so.
Yeah, good old baseball. Should have done a good old American sport.
Oh, I figured it'd be American football.
That's true.
I mean, if they wanted us to make us think that these people were cool, as we talked about before, it wouldn't have been soccer, so they weren't trying very hard. Cindy says
it's probably cheaper to do soccer.
Oh, yeah. Did you count how many people were on the field? No.
The girlfriend has a line where she thanks Sarah for saving her seat, and there's literally empty seats everywhere. Like, it would have been so difficult to find a spot. This sold out high school game.
Really, people clamoring for the best seats in the house on that.
Oh, yeah, it's a hot ticket.
Cindy says she was watching from the sidelines, but the pressure was getting to her, so she had to retreat to the stands. Then asks Sarah where Sam is, and Sarah says that he's getting some food. We then cut to the food stand as two teens try to make off with their food without paying for what could only be about $8 maybe. But that doesn't stop crazy old man Sam from tripping them and getting into a fight with them. Then does some grandpa kung fu, throws one kid into a table and then gets the other in a chokehold. And then demands the kid's IDs for some reason because he's not a cop.
Oh man, I just love the idea of grandpa kung fu.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good way of putting it.
Really slow, but the Vietnamese didn't see it coming. That's for sure.
That's how they told me he was a Vietnam vet without telling me he was a Vietnam vet.
Yeah, going all John Rambo on these two poor kids.
Those kids never repaid him, by the way, did they?
Well, he recognizes the kids' names as the son of one of his friends, and he tells the boys that he's going to pay what they owe, and they're going to work it off at his place. I guess we never get to see that, but they do get a little distracted by the whole, miracles and brain tumors thing.
Yeah, and the only reason he lets them go is because he recognizes the white boy.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, if he had a chance, he would have murdered that black kid. It was self-defense. You saw it. You all saw it, right?
Grandpa Sam goes back to the seats, and now Mira Sorvino and her husband are there, and the son Danny is getting harassed up and down the field by some punk kid on the other team. The game is almost over, and Danny's team is down 1. Sarah is very stressed about her brother's team making it to the finals. So Grandpa tells Sarah if she's so into God, why not ask for his help? Sarah does, and she prays for her brother to be able to kick stronger and faster than the other team. And sure enough, on the very next play, Danny does a bicycle kick and scores a goal. So Sarah chalks it up to God. And then Danny's dad immediately jinxes the team, saying they have just to hold off for 20 seconds to make it to overtime. And that punk kid on the other team flops on Danny, which then gets him a penalty kick. And he scores the goal to win the game. So Sarah is bummed that God didn't answer her prayer, although technically he did.
Yeah.
Because she didn't ask for him to win. She didn't pray for a win. She prayed for him to kick faster and harder than anybody else. So
if you think about it, there's probably something God could have been paying attention to that was more important than a high school soccer game.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's a family that's about to lose their home to a tornado. Like, oh, please God, let the tornado miss our house. I'm sorry. I'm a little preoccupied with this high school game. It's really good. This is to go to the finals.
I need to help this boy score a goal.
They're not going to win, but still, it's important that he scores.
He's got to cover the spread.
God's got some money on this game.
Grandpa says that there was a reason Danny's team lost. So everyone heads to Grandpa's house with Cindy and Sarah dancing to Christian rock in the back of Danny's car.
Oof. Big oof.
There's
nothing more uncool than jamming out to Christian rock.
Yeah. Like stock music Christian rock, too.
Yeah. What was like, I want to believe in you or something like that?
Yeah. It's not like they're rocking out to Alter Bridge or POD.
They did a South Park episode of that. It was just like, yeah, just put like Jesus, believe, love, and you got yourself a Christian rock song.
Yep. When they get there, Sarah immediately wants to head to the lake. So Danny and Cindy grab some fishing gear, and the three head to the lake. Sarah sets her stuff down, but Danny says he and Cindy are going to go to another part of the lake to try their luck there, and totally not try to touch each other's genitals. But before they leave, Sarah finds a dead bird. She says that she wants to try and pray the bird back to life, despite her brother telling her that God is not here and death is a part of life. But Cindy tells Sarah that she could spend all day doing whatever she wants, even if that means praying for a dead bird. Then they go off and touch each other's genitals, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
Danny and Cindy, not Sarah and the bird.
Yes.
Sarah prays that.
So Sarah prays to God for the life of the bird. After a while, Cindy and Danny pack up their things because they successfully caught a single fish. Then head back to Sarah, who was staring off into the distance.
They were busy doing other things.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We have to bring a fish back or else they're going to wonder what was going on.
Yeah. She tells Cindy and Danny that God is standing out over the water, but neither of them could see it. And the bird miraculously comes back to life and flies away.
This was the moment I thought she has a brain tumor. Like, oh, she's seeing things that no one else can see. So that's like a telltale sign.
Do you think, so did the brain tumor pre-exist the Jesus sightings? Or is this like, is it cause and effect? Like, you see me, now you have cancer. I
thought it was there prior to her seeing the light. But it in terms of the story, your way is probably the right turn of events. Where she's healthy, she sees the light, tumor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They go back to the house, and Sarah tells her grandpa about the bird, and he says he believes her. She says that she told her mom, but she kind of blew her off. Later at night, Sarah steals her brother's phone to call her paraplegic friend Mark to tell him all about how she saw God and brought a bird back to life. I'm sure the fact that Mark is in a wheelchair will not play a part in the film moving forward. She also mentions that God was in a t-shirt and jeans, was just such an odd detail in this movie. He immediately believes her, but she tells him not to tell anyone because people will think she's crazy. She hangs up with him when her mom comes in to say goodnight. She tells her mom about what happened at the lake. She says that God spoke to her, that God told her that he'd be taking her to heaven soon. Her mom is disturbed by this, telling her that she has a long time before she goes to heaven and asks her not to talk about dying anymore. And at night, Danny barges into his parents' rooms to tell them that Sarah is sick and has a fever. They immediately call Dr. Ben, Kevin Sorbo, the last doctor who makes house calls, and he shows up just to take her temperature.
That's a good point. How many doctors make house calls still?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it's like in Oklahoma, but I feel like that doesn't really happen that often.
Yeah, I never noticed that. Good point.
After examining her, he tells Sarah's parents that he thinks she just has the stomach flu. Amira Servino tells him about the things that Sarah told her about seeing God and how he said that he'll just be seeing her soon. Dr. Ben just says, it sounds like Sarah has a very healthy imagination and there's nothing to be worried about. Dr. Ben leaves, and then Dad goes to tuck in Sarah and to check on her, and he stumbles upon some drawings that Sarah did about her experience at the lake. Apparently, God gave Sarah artistic ability because it's an incredible drawing for a 10-year-old. So her dad goes to show the mom, and they both stare off into the distance with an almost sinister look. They're very nervous about what's happening. The next day, Mark and Sarah are walking down the main street in town. Well, Sarah's walking, but you get the idea. Anyway, Sarah shows Mark a picture she made of him dunking a basketball, and it's also a pretty good drawing, and kind of insensitive.
Yeah.
Well, she knew she was going to heal him.
And
she
then
didn't know she was going to heal him yet.
Oh, okay. So I thought the whole time she knew, like, yeah, I got you, bro.
Because he asks her later if she can help him, and she's like, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then it is very insensitive. Like, why would you do that? Why would you show me doing something you know I can't do, you jerk?
And possibly racist?
Yeah, could be, right? Because how do we know he likes basketball? Maybe he likes hockey. Maybe he likes baseball.
Yeah, it's
he likes soccer.
Yeah, he could like soccer. That's how he injured himself playing soccer.
The devil's sport.
Devil's, right. I told you to stay away from that devil sport.
Then a bunch of punk kids on bikes show up and start hassling both Sarah and Mark about her healing a bird. At that moment, Danny and Cindy are walking across the street, and Danny says that he should teach those kids a lesson. So he kicks a soccer ball at their bikes and manages to knock all of them down in one fell swoop. The kids on bikes scurry off, but as Cindy, Danny, Sarah, and Mark run into the punk kid from the soccer game, he's hanging out with some other punks drinking beer in broad daylight, and he starts hassling Danny, trying to goad him into a fight. Cindy and Sarah tell him it's not worth it, so they walk away. Then the punk takes a cheap shot at Mark for no reason, calling him a cripple.
Mark catches strays out here.
Yeah, they're like back-to-back encounters where he just gets dunked on for no reason.
That might be why she drew that photo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. I'm telling your future. You're about to get dunked on.
And the punk's friend gets behind the wheel of his truck and immediately runs over the guy's dog. He gets pissed and gets ready to fight his own friend, but then Sarah kneels in front of the dog and prays, and the dog comes back to life. So this punk kid is now not so much of a punk anymore. On the walk home, Mark asks if Sarah thinks she can make him walk again. She says maybe, so she prays for him right there. But then she says she'll pray for him more tonight. The next day, Mark and his family go to Dr. Ben's clinic and tell him that Mark was able to move his toes in both feet that night before. Skeptical, Dr. Ben asks Mark to do it again, but is ready to tell him, I told you so, when Mark can't do it immediately. But then after some trying, he is able to do it again.
Imagine if Kevin Sorbo started dunking on him. He said, I told you you couldn't do it, you stupid bastard.
You damn cripple.
What do I know? I'm just a doctor.
Dr. Ben takes his mom outside to talk to her and to say that her son shouldn't be able to walk or move his toes. And then Mark waltzes right out of the room to show his mom that he could walk, and right in front of a reporter. And the reporter says she's totally going to report on it. And Dr. Ben goes to the house to try and get information about what happened with Mark, because Dr. Ben just can't believe in miracles. Then goes home and we find out that he has lost a child, and now he's bitter with God, even though his wife still believes in God. Then we go to another family's house to meet Teresa, who is a girl with cancer, and also I'm going to spoil it, she is the girl that is in a picture that Sarah drew, and I forgot.
Yeah, this is the point where we start getting the idea that those photos are premonitions.
Yeah. She's dying because she has cancer, and her mom sees a report on the news about Sarah, and she tells her Catholic priest brother that they should go see Sarah because she might be able to help. Next day, they take her to Sarah's house, and a bunch of other people have the same idea. Sarah's parents are nervous about all of this attention to Sarah, but Sarah says that if she was sick and someone was healing people, her parents would want them to help her too. So they try to distract her, but instead she goes outside and meets with everybody. The dad tries to tell everyone to go home, but Sarah recognizes Teresa from the picture she drew, and Sarah tells her that she saw God and she's not sure if she can help her, but she will try. Sarah takes Teresa by the hands, and after a brief moment, Teresa announces that she's going to be okay. Then Sarah does some quick miracles by making a blind girl see, and then makes another kid in a wheelchair walk again. But then Sarah faints, and the family rushes her inside. They go to Dr. Ben's clinic, and he says that they've run some blood work. They're going to schedule her for an MRI. Mom is more interested in finding out what else is going on with her daughter, and Dr. Ben says he wants to know what's wrong with her before they start addressing the quote-unquote miracles. And Dr. Ben's nurse alerts them to a news report of what Sarah did on the front lawn, and a bunch of press show up at the clinic waiting for them.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was thinking about this the whole time. Do you think the news would really care about any of this?
I mean, in Oklahoma, perhaps.
But not national, right? Like, this wouldn't really garner too much attention.
I mean, if we're to believe that these are honest to goodness miracles, I feel like it would get some sort of traction, right?
I don't know, because I think the news doesn't really show a lot of good.
Right.
They tend to go towards negative more.
It's hard to say because miracles aren't real, right?
That's a good point. Yeah, we're speaking in hypotheticals, so
miracles in this sort of capacity, like obvious, like, oh my god, this guy couldn't walk and now he can because I touched him.
Because think about who would be reporting on what, right? Because like, you would probably get like a Tucker Carlson reporting on the miracles on a national level, and then you might get someone like Jon Stewart, who's kind of talking like, oh, it's more science-based or whatever. You'd have to think about who is giving you this information, because I'm more likely to believe in someone other than like someone on Fox News, let's say, but they would probably run with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it just depends on who's giving you this info.
Yeah. And so they devise a plan to get Sarah out to the back in Danny's car, with Cindy distracting the press. And then we just dissolve as if this all went without a hitch. And now the family is back home. As everyone goes to bed, the mom and grandpa have a talk, and the mom is worried about Sarah getting sicker. Dr. Ben calls, and mom takes the call, and after she hangs up, she cries into her dad's arms. The next day, the grandpa goes to the lake and tries to talk to God. He tells God that he hasn't been the perfect person, but he's tried to be the best Christian for the last 45 years, and probably glosses over war crimes he committed in Vietnam. He begs God not to take Sarah away from them, but his pleading, from what we can tell, goes unanswered.
Yeah, I got to say, on paper, they probably thought this monologue would be a lot stronger than it was.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really think he was all that sad.
That's what I mean. Like, he didn't, on paper, it probably looks good because they have the emotion in their head. And then you get there, and as you said, he doesn't look sad.
Yeah, it's more like he's annoyed that his granddaughter's dying.
Right? He's angry at God.
Yeah, but he's not. Like, I didn't feel the weight of you're about to lose your granddaughter. It was more just, how could you do this, God? Take me instead. I expect full on sobbing when you get the news that your granddaughter's about to die, mm-hmm. and you're reliving your memories of killing civilians in Vietnam.
The family's at the granddad's house, and Dr. Ben shows up with the preacher, and the mom asks Danny to take Sarah outside. Danny takes Sarah outside and tries to distract her by throwing rocks at some old cans, but Sarah's uninterested. He turns his back on her for a second to set up the cans again, and she sneaks inside. Inside, she overhears Dr. Ben explaining that Sarah has an inoperable brain tumor, and its location could be why she's seeing visions. He also chalks up her miracles to the power of suggestion.
It's almost like he's proud that it's science.
Yeah.
Right? Like, see, I told you, your daughter's dying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess, I don't know, if he's someone that's someone that has lost somebody,
mm-hmm.
like, where the fuck was God, right?
Yeah, of course.
God's out, like, so he's trying to explain it away, because, like, the idea that you are without your son in a universe where God is 100% real. That's gotta be pretty fucking shitty that God didn't do a goddamn thing about it, right?
Right.
And now all of a sudden, God is sticking his hands where, micromanaging through this little girl.
I think,
or was he when I buried my son?
Right. I was gonna say, I think in a world where it's proven like definitive, I think I'd be angrier. Like you let this little girl, but what about me? What happened to me? I believed.
Yeah.
What happened to me? And my kid was good. My kid was a good kid. Why did you help him?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
here he. Okay.
I was gonna say, I think there's definitely I think it's more of a downside to finding out something is 100% real there, where like, okay, well, now I'm more mad because I believed I got nothing for it. I got the worst possible news a parent could get.
Yeah. It's easier for him to accept that God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Than for God to be undeniably real.
Sure. Yeah, because if you accept that there is no higher power, then it's just the will of fate, essentially. Like, yeah, but my everyone dies, and it's just my kid died earlier.
Mm-hmm. The mom tries to reason with Dr. Ben that there must be something he could do, but he says if there was, he would do it. But Sarah is going to die. Parents start to break down, so Sarah reveals herself, and they embrace and cry together. The grandpa comes home to see them crying and for Sarah to plead with them not to take her to the hospital. She wants to go to the lake to talk to God and see if she can wait to go to heaven. But then she collapses and they rush to get her to the hospital. But as she leaves, she asks her grandpa to take her to the lake. They make it to the hospital and are immediately mobbed by the press. They get her checked in, and her brother and Cindy bring her some art supplies. Then she asks him what it's like to be in love. Then asks Cindy to sing the song that they were dancing to in the car. And the mom and dad show up, and Danny gets a text from his grandpa to come to the house. So Danny and Cindy go to his place.
All of a sudden, this movie becomes an Ocean's 11 movie.
Yeah. They are greeted by a bunch of people that Sarah has healed, and Teresa gives an impassioned speech about how Sarah has helped so many, and now it's their turn to help Sarah. So Grandpa tells everyone that his plan is that they're going to break Sarah out of the hospital and take her to the lake. They all agree to decide to team up like it's Ocean's 11. Exactly in my notes.
Yeah. Like, you go here, I'm gonna go here, and we're gonna synchronize at this.
Yeah.
Like oh my gosh, this. I think in real life, the parents would probably just grant their daughter her dying wish.
Right. She is going to die.
Yeah.
That is just what we've decided in the previous scene. That
yes.
She has an inoperable brain tumor, and her fate is that she will die.
I think it's what they're trying to show is that, like, oh, don't always trust science.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't always listen to science.
Yeah. You have to listen to science. She wouldn't have come back. She would have just died.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. She would have been in the hospital and never met Dungaree Jesus.
This whole plan is helped out greatly by the fact that Teresa's mom just so happens to be a nurse. They put the plan into action. Teresa's mom risks her job by giving them a whole bunch of access to the hospital. Grandpa takes the parents out of the room to talk with them. Then Danny sneaks Teresa into the room with a blonde wig, and they swap her out for Sarah. And then Cindy faints at the nurse's station as a distraction, allowing Danny to wheel Sarah right out the front door in a wheelchair. And it's now pouring out as they put her into Danny's car. So the grandpa tells the parents that he wants to take her to the lake, and they forbid it, but as they go back into the room, she's already gone. So everyone piles into cars. Danny and Teresa's mom have Sarah in Danny's car. Cops are chasing after them. Grandpa and the preacher take Grandpa's truck and run interference with the cops. Cindy, Teresa, and Mark follow in Cindy's car. The press are also on their tail. Storm knocks down a tree right in front of Danny, blocking the road up the lake. Then out of nowhere, the punk soccer player shows up with his dog and says that he's there to help Sarah to the lake after she saved his dog. Then he Samwises her out of the car, up the mountain, saying it's a shortcut.
Yep.
How does everyone know what's going on here?
I don't know. Everyone winds up stopping at the tree that fell. Cops try to arrest Grandpa, but Grandpa says that they can arrest him after he brings his granddaughter to the lake, but there's no way they're going to stop him. And then they let him go, and everyone just starts stomping through the woods. Punk Kid and Danny come across a wolf of all things, but the dude's dog scares it off. Eventually, Danny gets Sarah to the lake, and they start praying. Then the rest of the people show up, and the mom tells the grandpa that he was wrong to bring her out of the hospital, and if anything happens to her, it's his fault, as well as everyone else's.
She's dying anyway.
Yeah.
There's no hope for her. How is it the grandfather's fault?
And then Sarah dies right there on the lake.
Hell yeah.
And this is the part where Mark cheered. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck you, little kid.
And then the rain stops and a light appears over the lake, and Sarah's spirit gets up and walks over to the light, and a dude is there in a t-shirt and jeans, but then it turns into a more traditional Jesus. Then she walks into the light to be greeted by a bunch of people, other dead people, and then Jesus, Sarah, and the light all disappear. Family carries Sarah's body back to the grandpa's house, and the grandpa's probably not going to get arrested, and none of the TV cameras picked anything up. Dr. Ben shows up to say sorry, and everyone is there with Sarah's body and crying together. Danny and Cindy see the last couple of drawings Sarah did. The first one is Sarah meeting with Jesus and going with him into the light, but then the second one is of her returning from the light to do Jesus' bidding.
Can we just assume that she got kicked out of heaven?
Just being too much of a ruckus.
Yeah, God is just pointing.
She's too faithful.
Yeah.
She's just asking question after question. Like, oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, no, actually, you're not done on Earth. We'll come back to you later.
You bring down the vibes too much in here.
You're harshing God's vibes.
Mm-hmm. Harsh and mellow. So Danny says this must be a sign that she'll be coming back. So Danny starts praying really hard. And Sarah wakes up saying she told God she wasn't ready, and he said to go back and take care of her parents. Dr. Ben is beside himself in disbelief, saying she didn't have a pulse. Sarah gets up out of bed and goes outside to a vigil of people. She tells him that she can't cure anyone anymore, but God told her that everyone should love their families and to help others and to pray to God, because he's great. And the next time at church, it's packed because everyone now has faith, even Dr. Ben. And as they leave the church, they see everyone happy and being good to each other, and Sarah says that a little bit of faith can grow and move mountains. And that is the end of The Girl Who Believes in Miracles.
Yeah. Again, just a smack in the face to normal people and just how movies are made. Yeah, I think it's embarrassing. I would be embarrassed if I prescribed to this type of ideology. Like, yeah, this is what I really believe. Really, you believe if you pray hard enough, you're gonna heal sick people. Really? Oh yeah, I just like I would walk out ashamed. Like, oh man, this is how they really think it goes down. Wow.
Okay. Yep, that was the movie. It was a movie.
Sure was. Yeah, I'll tell you, and I think I speak for all of us. I don't know if this movie brought us closer to believing in anything.
No.
I mean, at least for me, like, I didn't sit there and say, you know what? Yeah, I need to turn my life around. But there was no redeeming quality. It's you, as we've stated before, if you believe hard enough, you're just gonna get something terrible.
Yeah.
You're gonna get cancer.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see the message. Why would you kill someone just to bring them back in the very next scene? I don't get it.
To make people believe, kind of makes her seem like a pawn. And
she was, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what she is.
Yeah, but even then, just let her be dead, because then her sacrifice means something. If you kill her and bring her back, it's just like you're toying with the parents and the family, right? Like they just witnessed their youngest kid die. And then they're going to have to relive that trauma. They might have to relive that trauma again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What if she dies before they do? Now or will they expect God to bring her back?
It turns into a Final Destination thing.
Right. Yeah. She's been brought back before. Why not bring her back again? Why not bring anybody back?
Mm-hmm.
I think there were some kids in the beginning, right, that were making fun of her, the kids on the bikes. Like, oh, my cat died. Can you bring her back? Why not? That's a good question. Why don't you bring the cat back?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, that's the end of our discussion with The Girl Who Believes in Miracles. We got one more segment coming up, so we are going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to some ads, so pay those bills, and we will be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time to get into our final segment of the night. And Dan, Mark had to leave, so it's just going to be Dan playing this game. And Dan, the name of this game is, quite simply, Switchfoot Song or Christian Movie Streaming on PureFlix.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't know, PureFlix is a streaming service specifically for Christian and family films. So
okay.
I have 10 here. And you just have to say, is it a Switchfoot Song, who is also a very Christian band? I did not realize they were a Christian band.
Switchfoot is the band that sang like We Were Meant for So Much More. That's them, right?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, man. I don't know. That's the only song I know, so this is going to be interesting.
And it does not show up on this list.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah. All right, your first one. I Will Soar.
I'm going to go Switchfoot.
It's Pure Flix.
Oh, goddamn. This is going to be bad. We're in trouble, folks.
Mm-hmm. Second one. All I Need.
All right. Damn, these can go either way. That definitely sounds like a song title. I'm gonna go Switchfoot.
That's Switchfoot.
Okay.
Next one is Why We Breathe.
Why We Breathe. Why would someone name their movie Why We Breathe? That doesn't make sense to me. I'm gonna go Switchfoot for a third time.
Nope. It's a movie.
Wow, that's a terrible name. Right? Why? What does that tell me?
Pure Flix.
Okay.
Next one, The Reason.
Oh, isn't that a Hoobastank song?
It's a Hoobastank song.
Did you put that in there just to mess with me?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm gonna go Pure Flix.
That is a Pure Flix movie.
Okay. Cool.
Next one, Only Hope.
Only Hope. I'm gonna go Switchfoot.
That is a Switchfoot song.
Okay. That was pure luck. I just figured he's not gonna go Pure Flix 3 times in a row.
One day I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, you would have got me.
Next one, Forgiven.
Okay. Pure Flix.
That is Pure Flix.
Oh, I'm on a roll, man. We're getting it.
Next one, Learning to Breathe.
That's got to be Switchfoot.
That is Switchfoot.
Okay, I got the pattern, I think.
Next one, Redemption.
And it's gone. Pattern's gone. That sounds like a song. I'm gonna go Switchfoot.
It is Switchfoot.
Okay.
Last one, 1,000 Tomorrows.
That actually sounds like an interesting movie. I know I would never watch it because it's probably Pure Flix, right?
It is Pure Flix.
I would never watch that movie, but it sounds like an interesting title.
Mm-hmm. And last one, When the Light Shines Through.
I want to go out on a good note here, so I got to think. When the Light Shines Through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I almost said Switch. I'm gonna go Pure Flix.
Oh, you should have went with Switchfoot.
Oh no. Okay. Man, I had a nice stretch there, though.
You did have a good run.
Yeah, that's I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's just how it goes to show how there's no creativity in the Christianity genre.
Yeah, but that's our game.
Yeah, very very interesting. I always have a hard time with guessing a movie or a song because again they're so interchangeable.
Yeah.
Right? Well, what was one of them? The 1,000 Days, or like Let the Light Shine Through, or something like that.
Yeah. When a light shines through, and Redemption.
Yeah, like when a light shines through, that could be anything. That could be a TV show. That could be a movie, a song, a book. It's just so simple.
There's a Pure Flix movie called Why We Breathe, and there's a Switchfoot song called Learning to Breathe. So
yeah, there you go. It's creatively bankrupt the Christian religion.
They only got one story, and it's Jesus.
Right? Yeah, they've been hanging on that for thousands of years. Get something. We're due for a New Testament.
Yeah, right. Well, isn't that John Smith?
Oh, is that the Mormon religion? Is the new covenant?
Yeah, I think
might
so.
be. Yeah, you could be right, and that's dumb as hell.
I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And just no one abides by it, apparently, other than people who live in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
You can bang as many women as you want. I'm sold. Count me in.
Only if you're married.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And age is just a number.
Yeah. That's going to be our episode this week, though. And The Girl Who Believes in Miracles. That's the movie we watched this week. Check us out on all socials. TikTam Pod on Instagram and Twitter. They call this movie on TikTok. If you have any questions or comments, you want to shoot us an email, hit us up at tictampod@gmail.com. And if you have 5 minutes to give us a 5-star review, please do that. It would help us out a great deal on any of your podcatcher of choice. That would be lovely. And that's it. We'll be back next week. The director of The Girl Who Believes in Miracles is Richard Coral. So, for Daniel Quino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Del Vecchio telling Richard Coral, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you? Thanks for listening to They Called Us a Movie. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. You can also check us out on TikTok at They Called Us a Movie.